This morning, 61-year-old Steve Pigeon was indicted and arraigned on the indictment on numerous charges relating to a single incident that occurred sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas back in 2016. He was arraigned by Judge Burns of 2 counts of predatory sexual assault against a child. Those are both Class A felonies. He was charged with 1 count of rape in the first degree, a Class B felony. He was charged with 1 count of criminal sexual act in the first degree, again a Class B felony, as well as 1 count of sexual abuse in the first degree, a Class D felony, and 1 count of endangering the welfare of a child, a Class A misdemeanor. As I alluded to, these allegations stem from one evening. There were actually 2 separate events that occurred this evening, allegedly, that resulted in these charges. The 2 counts of predatory sexual assault against a child are 2 different alleged sex acts that occurred. I am not going to elaborate on that or get into detail as to what that was, but they were 2 separate sexual acts that occurred in that evening, in that time frame. The reason why it is a Class A felony, which carries life imprisonment, is because the victim was under the age of 13 and the perpetrator was over the age of 18. And that's what makes it a Class A felony. The 1 count of rape in the first degree, it is first degree because the victim was under the age of 11. So even though the predatory sexual assault is a higher charge, it actually has a higher cutoff threshold on the age. The rape charge has a threshold of under 11 years old, and it just so happens that the victim was under 11 as well. The same with the criminal sex act in the first degree, again, that Class B felony as well. It's a first degree due to the fact that, again, the victim was under the age of 11. As you know, we asked for a remand here, no bail. We got that from the judge. I'm very grateful for that. I do not believe that Mr. Pigeon should be out of jail. I believe that he should be in jail for the rest of his life, quite frankly. And so we are going to proceed forward to that. The next court date will be when a judge is assigned. Judge Burns was just filling in as a special term judge today. There will be a judge who will be assigned to the case, and I anticipate the very first proceeding that will take place will be another bail hearing, where the defense will argue that the victim, that the defendant here is not a flight risk, that defendant does have ties to the community, and therefore the defendant should be let out on bail. We will argue that quite frankly, is not true. We will argue that the defendant doesn't have any ties to the community anymore, that he really has no permanent address. From what we can gather, he's staying down in Florida half the time. He's got a buddy who lives in Niagara Falls. He hangs out with him once in a while. And he doesn't have any kind of permanent home here in Buffalo. In addition to that, he's, as you all know, he is facing felony charges and other state charges by the Attorney General's office that he has not been sentenced on yet. And so he's facing 2 other jurisdictions, 2 other court proceedings. And on top of that, we have information that Mr. Pigeon, over the course of the past few months, suspected that something was going on, and therefore allegedly went to the home of the victim here, and also had a friend of his go to the home of the victim as well. So when you put all those things together, on top of the fact he's facing life in prison, This isn't some, misdemeanor charge they have in federal court or another misdemeanor charge they have at the Attorney General's office. I'm not minimizing those charges, obviously. This is big boy stuff here. Okay, this is rape. This isn't child molestation. Okay, this is rape. And so when we're talking at that level, all right, we're talking life imprisonment here. He needs to be treated like every other defendant who walks through these courthouse doors who is facing life imprisonment. And the only people really who are facing life imprisonment are people charged with homicides. And therefore, everyone who's walked through this door in my 5 years here, I'd be shocked if anyone who's facing life imprisonment wasn't remanded. So those are the arguments that we'll make when that bail hearing comes. I anticipate that will come as soon as possible because I anticipate they're going to try to want to get him out of jail as soon as possible. So